Phenomenal morning, phenomenal morning, phenomenal morning. Listen, I got such a topic today, but let me just say first, right? This is your Breakfast with the Brand. I am your host, Sean Rais, flanked as always by the phenomenal Bobby Jackson. Bobby Jackson, I got something today, bro.
Oh man.
I got
Oh
something
man.
today, bro. I got something on my spirit, man. First of all, phenomenal morning to everybody. Just tell me in the comments where you listening in from hashtag replay squad. Yeah, Bobby, I'm feeling some kind of way.
Uh-oh. I was too. I was too.
Listen, you got to be feeling some kind of way. If you don't wake up feeling some kind of way, so there's two things I want to give you today, right? There's two things I want to give you. First, I want to let you know why I do this, right? Because I'm sure a lot of people are like, why are we doing, the Breakfast with the Brand every single day? What's the purpose? What are you doing, Sean? What are you doing? Like, I don't even ask. Like, there's no hard ask every call. Like, that's not what I do, right? But what I do is called show and prove. Show and prove. It goes a long way back to a concept called word is bond, right? My word is my bond. And I want to show and prove to you that we care, more than most, as a matter of fact, because many people are not going to go to this length to execute on what they say. So, what I say is that we care and we want you to be successful. And the only way that I can show you that is by showing you that. The only way that I can convince you that I can actually help you is by actually helping you. Sounds simple, doesn't it? Sounds like a simple concept, but it's abstract in application, right?
Right.
It's abstract in application because supposedly everyone cares and supposedly all service providers are here to help. But a lot of times you got to give a pound of flesh before you get served. What Sean Rais wants to do is give you a pound of flesh to show you that I'm worthy to serve you.
Wow. So I need
Yeah.
I need
Lead by
clarity.
example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lead by example. Lead by example. You got to be the person, and to be the like many people. Let me say this, right? Because I heard this very recently. Many people want what it feels like. No, how does it say? Many people want what it looks like. They want the success that it looks like. It looks good. You see that the house, the car, the clothes. You guys watch TV. You see success. You see what it looks like. You want what it looks like. What do they say, Bobby? I want to make as much money as I want. I want to be able to come and go where I want, when I want, with who I want, for however long I want. So you want what it looks like, but I promise you, you don't want what it feels like.
Oh my goodness.
You don't want what it feels like.
Hmm.
You run from what it feels like. But this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like, and you want what it looks like, but you don't want what it feels like. Right? So that's the thing. Like today it's a $1 million morning, guys. Every morning, what we're gonna give you is $1 million morning. But you gotta wake up and be present to get it. You got to wake up and be present to get it. You got to show up early to get it. You got to be on time to get it. You got to be engaged to get it. I can't care about you and your business more than you do. How about that?
Yeah.
How about that, Bobby? We can't care more about you and your business than you do. So we're going to give it because this is service delivery. And word is bond, and we're going to show and prove. But the question is, how bad do you really want it? That's my spiel, Bobby. Before we begin, that's the segue. That's the segue. That's how I'm feeling this morning.
Like if that's just a segue, I cannot imagine the electricity of this call because I was on my morning call at 4 a.m. I did a Wednesday wealth call and it was crickets. It was crickets. People weren't
Talk
trying to
about it.
get that early. And I remember it was a 4 a.m. call that changed my life. So
Ooh.
I think I think this is a luxury. A 7 a.m. call, this is a luxury.
That's
And
right.
to come and get it at 7 a.m. and be ready to grind out for the rest of the day, I think is really electrifying. So I'm looking forward to weaving in a topic that's been on my mind recently, which is just I call it talking guns. The military calls it talking guns. And that's how I look at the holiday season. So we have Thanksgiving. So you kind of have like Halloween, then you have Thanksgiving, then you have Christmas, then you have New Year's. So in the military, when we say talking guns, we mean that you got a machine gun to your left and a machine gun to your right, and they're intersecting fire. And they are maybe even traversing fire. So the goal is to keep the enemy suppressed. And that's how I see the holidays sometimes. I see them like, Halloween, and you got to keep your head down. You're staying low, and then you're flanked, boom, by Thanksgiving, and you're still keeping your head down. And then you've got Christmas right on top of your muffin top, like you can't catch a break. And then when Christmas passes, you got New Year's, the balls dropping, everybody wants to be at your house, all this stuff. And then you got MLK. It's like it's nonstop.
Then Easter.
And Easter. And before you know it, you're well into the first quarter.
Valentine's Day, like it's one after bing, 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 bing.
So that's something that I've been, just really strategizing about, because I found myself, just evaluating the year. And as I evaluated the year, I was looking at places I got caught. Like, where did I get hit? Like, what cost me something that could have been prevented? And I found that a lot of those holidays, is just not it if you don't handle it properly. So I remember being out with my family at like a reunion of some kind, and I had deals to close. I had work to do, but I was laid up with the family, drinking sweet teas. I had workouts to get in, and I'm laid up eating chicken or whatever I was eating, and that's not in my diet. But a lot of times, that's what we do. We sacrifice our discipline to appease the masses during the times of holiday season. So that's what's been on my head, because
Crush it. Listen, I'm gonna tie it all together before we go to a break with one sentence. You don't get out of life what you want. You get out of life what you tolerate. There's slow growth, and then there's scale. There's incremental growth, and then there's exponential growth. What I want to talk to you about is adding a zero to you and experiencing exponential scale. Incremental growth says 1 + 1 is 2. Exponential growth says 1 + 0 is 10. Incremental growth says 2 + 2 is 4. Exponential growth says 5 + 0 is 50. Guys, listen, when you add a zero to you, you can add a zero to the marketplace. You can add a zero to the value that you bring. So you can add a zero to your family, add a zero to your legacy. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about incremental, we're talking about exponential. I always say that business is a spiritual game. Just imagine when you combine your skills, your values, your abilities, your talents to something bigger than you, something greater than you, something like the power of exponential. That is adding a zero. Add a zero to your competence, add a zero to your confidence. This is about adding a zero in your life, your value, your industry, and your mission. Let's grow. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
So we on your head with value, right? We on your head with value early in the morning, Absolutely phenomenal morning. Early in the morning, we are on your head with value consistently. Why? Because we know what happens when this show goes off. We know what happens at 8 o'clock. You got to show up to the job. You got to show up to the school. You got to show up to life. You got to show up to life. And a lot of times life is not what we want it to be. However, the state of your life and condition is what you tolerate it to be. So I want to break down a real quick synopsis of what $1 million morning has always looked like for me. $1 million morning has always looked like for me waking up early. Number one, waking up early, beating the sun up. The sun is my first adversary. The sun is my first challenger. The sun is my first obstacle. And I know when I open my eyes, if I've beaten the sun, then I can beat everything else. I can beat everything else. As long as I beat the sun, I'm good. That's the first challenger. First challenger is sun. The next challenger is lethargy. Lethargy, drag, jet lag, tired, fog, fatigue. So the first thing, as soon as I wake up, I get up. I don't lay there and think about it. I wake up, I get up, sharp, alert, crisp, ready to go. And I turn off everything electronic. And I exercise. I physically exercise. Now, of course, when I wake up, I give thanks for waking up because that's the best victory in the world, guys. See, people wake up, Bobby, they go through the day like, this isn't working for me, this isn't working for me, this isn't working for me, and that's not working for me. But what you focus on expands. People complain too much. What you focus on expands. So when you say this isn't working for me, what you do is you attract more of that, which isn't working for you, because that's where your focus is. What you need to vocalize and vocalize on what really matters. Vocalize and vocalize on what really matters. So the first thing I do as soon as I wake up is I give thanks and praise and grace for mercy. Because many people, last night was their last night. Last night was really their last night. So I don't care what's going wrong in your life. Like, what could really be going wrong in your life when you woke up this morning? Nothing. Nothing could really be going wrong in your life if you woke up. But it's perspective. It's called reframing. Cognitive reframing is what they call it clinically. Business is easy if you get the psychology right. Business is easy if you get the psychology right, guys. So $1 million morning for me looks like beating the sun up and then beating lethargy, having gratitude, and then exercising, sweating, and being active immediately. Most people say, oh, I need to wait. Let me get 10 cups of coffee before I get my day going. Coffee needs to drink me in the morning, brother.
Exercise. No, I love this. I'm thinking about my routine and how I might want to move a few things around. Not that my routine is not effective, but just try something out. Try something different out, because I think the lethargy piece is definitely one that I can catch myself tap dancing with. I gotta run. Like, soon as I feel it setting in, saying, oh, it's 2:30. What's 2:35? A trap. That's what 2:35 is.
That's right.
So I have to make sure that I get up in that golden hour. And for me, I do more of like a affirmation, prayer, meditation workout. Like, I do all those things, then I work out. But I wonder what it would be like if I worked out first and then I did those things. So that's what I started thinking about as far as my $1 million morning, because I think everybody has to have that. What did Jordan say? Vibranium mindset. I like that. It's a great anchor. That's what Kobe Bryant called it. He says he anchors in the morning, and then once he's anchored, he can handle everything else. So I love that approach.
You know what it is, Bobby? It's doing the last thing you want to do. That's what it is. It's doing the last thing you want to do. You got to train yourself to do the last thing you want to do. The last thing you want to do is work out as soon as you wake up. The first thing you probably want to do is go back to sleep. As soon as you wake up at, what did you say, 2:30? If you wake up at 2:30, the last thing you want to do is move. It's like, okay, it's 2:30. Conventional wisdom, regular wisdom, mediocre wisdom will say go back to sleep. It's too early to get up. What's wrong with you? Why are you doing the most? Why you so gung ho? Like, what's wrong with you? Lay down. There's something wrong. What do they call it? ADHD?
Mm-hmm.
Come on. They got all kinds of negative connotations with success.
Crazy.
They have society has a lot of negative connotations with success, but I bet you this. I bet you the people that are truly crushing and gouging life, they're up. Or if they're not up, they have people in their place up on the job. If you're in a situation where you're a CEO or a PBO, a professional business owner, an entrepreneur, you're a solopreneur, you're building your own business, you don't have time to sleep like that. It's called a luxury. You know what I tell my children, Bobby? I've been telling this from the very beginning. I promise you, they was going through that, at 13 to 17, they want to sleep during the day because they're going through growth spurts. Man, I come in the room like a CO and kick their beds. Get up out of the bed. Man. Get out of the bed. Get out of the bed. You got to earn your sleep. You got to earn your sleep. So I want to ask you, like, what goals did you crush the day before that you're so tired? What goals did you crush the day before that you're so tired? People say they want to make $1 million. There's a lot of ways to do that. But the question is, where are you at in that process? That's the reality of it. I was speaking to somebody because, we're working on the next book, Add a Zero. Yeah, we're working on the next book, Add a Zero. And as I'm working on this, I'm bringing up different concepts and I'm saying, there's the vision and then there's the mission. And people get the mission and the vision confused. A lot of people want to talk about grandiose, huge visions that are so far out that they don't know what the next move to make is.
Right.
And because your vision is not a mission, you don't know the first move to make. Everybody wants to be a millionaire, but nobody knows what the next thing to do is. Listen, you know what you need to do to become a millionaire? Make your first 10K month. Real simple. Make your first 10K month. In order to make your first 10K month, you might want to make your first $1,000 sale, your first $5,000 sale. In order to make a $5,000 sale, you might have to contact 20 people. In order to contact 20 people, you might have to reach out to 200. You might have to get 5 calls. You got to learn your ratios, guys. You don't know your numbers. And that's what I'm saying. Like, people don't know what the next logical step is.
Right.
So we're here to help you make the next logical step. Just the next logical step. Don't worry about becoming a millionaire. The millions will come as long as you can take the next logical step in a succession. Step. That's how Rome was built. Rome was built a brick by brick. Strategy. That was the strategy. Hope is not a strategy, guys. The school's alarm is not a strategy. Sleep is not a strategy. Sleep is not a strategy. I'll be honest with you. Like, you got to get into the execution, the activation of your goals and dreams. Because if not, the vision is just that. It's a dream that will never be realized.
I'm thinking back to when I first heard you speak and where I was at mentally, because I think this transparency, vulnerability might help some people, just see exactly where they're at.
Good.
So what's super interesting, I think, about becoming an entrepreneur is the confidence that you have to even think you can do it. Like, that's the first thing. Now, the interesting thing about confidence is that when it's not rooted in competence, it really is arrogance. And the interesting thing about arrogance that we think is confidence, but we're confused. We feel like no one can teach us anything. We feel like all we need is the one thing we're looking for. And in reality, you need the one thing you think you need and 16 other things that you didn't even know you needed, plus the other 2 things. It's like there's so much stuff you need to do that you don't know to do. So when I was first listening to this, here's where I was at. You know, I had already been in business for about 3-4 years in different businesses. So I had known, say, a little bit of the ropes. And I was mentally in a space where I was like, all I need is a brand. That's all I need. I've got everything else. All I need is someone to help me brand myself. Little did I know that I needed so much more. So one thing that I just like everyone to think about, depending on where you are in your situation, is how long have you been in business? If you've been in business 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and you're not where you want to be, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting to get somewhere else. And I remember openly on a call, probably 2 years ago, saying, I would be further than I am now had I been more humble earlier on. And I was live on the call, just talking, you know, because I had evolved. I had been able to say, you know, I messed that one up. I messed that one up. I thought I knew something, but I really didn't. So I encourage everyone that is got all the followers, you know, you got the support, you got everybody in your ear telling you how good you've been doing. You got all of this publicity and all of this positive energy, so to speak, but you don't necessarily have qualifying results. If you don't have qualifying results, none of the other stuff matters. Like, you still got to get a job. You still got to pay your bills. You still got to go work for somebody. And I recommend that you take what we're saying here as seriously as possible and go look at just, this would be my piece. Just Google Sean Rais and just follow it, because you'll probably see my face in there, here or there, here or there. And if you do, what you'll see is a fitted cap and a leather coat. The next thing you might see is a red shirt and a black tie. And the next thing you'll see is a blue shirt and a blue tie. Then the next thing you'll see is a blue shirt, blue tie, black blazer. And it's really an exciting experience.
Wow.
So I just wanted to share that with you all as you're going through your process. I started right where you are, and I was an established business owner by other people's standards, but my results did not qualify my destination, or at least where I wanted to go. But I'm free now. You know, I'm free now. Don't have to work for anyone else.
That's right. That's right. And you know what else happened during that process, right? That other people can't see, but being the coach we can see, is layers. As a coach, we see the layers coming off. And as the layers come off, so guys, I tell people this all the time, it's not so much of, there's core competencies that every CEO needs. There's core competencies that you need to succeed in business, but you can't build on unfertile soil. You can't lay cement on unsecure and unconfirmed foundation. That's a fool's plan. A fool's plan is to build on that which has not been confirmed. So we need to first confirm the foundation, and in order to confirm the foundation, you have to remove what was previously built on unfirm foundation. So the first job of a real coach, guys, is to help you to unlearn. And that's why I don't work with anyone for less than a year, because it's going to take a year just to get all of the garbage out. Because a lot of people have nonsense in their heads about what business really is and what it's supposed to look like and what your morning's supposed to be. They've got all of these preconceived notions that do not lay the foundations for success. So before I come in and start putting evidence-based strategies on top of garbage, we got to remove the garbage. We got to excavate. We got to get rid of that stuff first. So the first process of learning is actually unlearning. The first process of learning is unlearning, and it's a serious process, because what you formerly learned will pop up. so there's constraints. And you got a part of me in the educational background, an engineering background, a psychological engineering background. When confronted with conflict, constraints reappear. Just so everybody understands this. And you just listen to me as a open-hearted, open-minded observer. Just try this on for size. Try this on for size. Every time that you had to create a breakthrough in your life, before the breakthrough, there was a barrier. Before the next level was attained, there was a new opposition. We call it every level has a new devil. New level, new devil. And what these really come from is the past preconceived notions. So Travis put something in the comments that's super relevant. He says society has trained us subliminally to view wealth negatively. Superman's nemesis, now Superman is the righteous one, and then his nemesis is Lex Luthor. He's a millionaire, billionaire. And then Spider-Man's the righteous one, and his nemesis is the Green Goblin, and he's got money. And, we're trained to believe that money's a bad thing, that abundance is a bad thing, that having enough to give is really a bad thing. But then you turn around and you hear about charity, and it's like these conflicting ideals. So when you demand life for more, there's a subconscious connotation that says, I don't think is it the right thing to do? Am I being greedy? No, you're not. As long as you want to receive in order to give. Now look at myself. Most people will say, well, if you want to have a job and you need a job and everybody needs to work 9 to 5, and they say the sweat by the man's sweat of his brow will he eat, right? So when you say, well, I want to be free, most people would say free to do what? Free to have no responsibility, free to do what you want. Come as you go as you please. But this is the thing. I want to be free so I can serve. I want to be free so I can serve more, give more, help more, give more freely. I want to have abundance so I don't have to worry about lights, gas, mortgage. Why? So I don't have to charge everybody for everything that I give. Now you can go to YouTube and see all kinds of content for free. Now you can come here in the morning and get $1 million morning. Certified $1 million morning consistently. Why? This was the goal. This was why we wanted more. This is why we had to get more. This is why we strove and woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And watch this. We still get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, but we don't serve the 9 to 5. We serve the men and women who show up and want to get results.
Man, that's inspiring. That's exciting. Like, I just had to interject that real quick because I didn't know if you had finished your train of thought there, but I was just getting excited about why I do it. I heard you say that was the goal all along. Like, I just got an instant flash of Martin Luther King, an instant flash of MLK, Sojourner Truth, Harriet. Like, when I was thinking about that, I was like, man, they got themselves free.
That's right.
And then they went back year after year, month after month, March after March, sale after sale to get as many other people free as possible. So it's like, when I think about it in that way, it's almost like you're a part of something bigger than yourself when you do it that way. You become a part of the lineage, of the freedom fighters within whatever your historical line is. Because I feel like everybody, no matter what race, nationality, or what have you come from, your people have endured some form of injustice. Everybody has. Every lineage has. So when you say, okay, this is the injustice that my people have suffered, and you get along as one of the freedom fighters to right some wrongs, I think that's a really noble way to live. So that's what came to my mind as I just.
And you know something, Bobby, and I'm gonna go to a break right now, but this is why we're able to get up at 2:30 in the morning. It's the purpose and the passion that doesn't allow us to go back to sleep. That's what I want you to understand, guys. People wake up. If you only got it, and I don't take this the wrong way. Please do not take this the wrong way. But I believe that there's levels. And I believe that one of those levels is school. I believe one of those levels is school. And then I believe one of those levels is graduation. And then I strongly believe that one of those levels is a job. But then I believe that one of those levels is a business. After the job, I believe that you can go into a job for yourself and go into a business for yourself. And then I think that the next level is leadership. And then I think the next level is developing leaders. Leaders develop leaders that develop leaders if it's done the right way. If not, then you're just waiting for you. And let me tell you, it can be lonely at the top if you're the only one trying to get there for yourself. But if you bring people with you, then it becomes a mission and a passionate purpose. And of course, people don't understand, like, this is how you unlock profits, guys. Let me just tie it back to what you're thinking about. Like, this is how you tie it to profits. You can't just say, well, if I'm just serving everybody else, and if I'm just delivering value, and if I'm just serve, when do I eat? Like, when do I earn? The profitability comes through the process. From Harriet Tubman to Sojourner Truth to Rosa Parks, we have always been on a freedom run. Your LLC, your S Corp, C Corp, your business entity is what's going to give you the ability to go from your job, your industry wages, your 9 to 5 to the life of your dreams and the dream of your life. This is about you attaining all of the things that you could only possibly imagine and that our ancestors saw as not even being possible. Your freedom run, this is your freedom run. This is your moment. We're going to show you how to establish yourself as a business entity so you can go and come as you choose. There was a time when we needed permission slips to go from plantation to plantation. When you get a little bit older, you need permission slips to go from class to class. And when you get a little bit older, you get a vacation for 2 weeks, and then you have to come back after 2 weeks to your job, right? That's what they call it now, the 9 to 5, the gig. You might you work for 50 weeks and you get 2 off. The freedom run is when you establish your LLC and you're free for the rest of your life. Custom Model used to spit out numbers, and Mike Tyson would throw a combination and always knock out his enemy. When Mike Tyson lost Custom Model, he lost the title. Sean Rais is your Custom Model, your Tyson. What I'm gonna give you is a marketing system that's gonna knock your competition out. So the 501 marketing system is a combination: jab, 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 uppercut, hook. I'm gonna teach you how to give, surprise your ideal client, and then ask for the value that you're worth, and you're gonna get it every single time. I'm gonna teach you how to communicate in a crowded space in your client's language that's gonna slice through the noise in the market and touch their inner souls and make them open their wallets. It is said that marketing is helping your ideal client open their wallet and take their money out. I'm gonna show you how to do this in 5 simple steps. I don't talk theory, I don't talk hyperbole, I don't talk opinion. Nothing I talk is anything but evidence-based.
During the G-Circle retreat in Atlanta, I had the pleasure and the honor of listening to Mr. Sean Rais. He will not only impact your organization, but he will elevate your team to another level.
When you change you, when you put you into the equation, the whole system is different. I guarantee you, you got the right thing. You are the right person. If you can present yourself in the best way possible, there's no negotiation.
His energy is infectious, and I have so many takeaways from the presentation that I can't wait to get started and implement them today to see the result.
All right, so let me give you the concrete application, right? The concrete application. I've always been like a mathematician and a scientist. I've always thought scientifically and mathematically, equations, numbers, ones and zeros. Much less emotionally than a lot of people. Much more statistically and analytically than a lot of people. And what I realized was this, guys. I realized that if I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I focused on what I needed to do for me until 9 o'clock, and when I got to the work and had to focus on what someone else needed, I realized that gave me 6 hours. 6 hours to study for me. And then I realized that when I got off of work, if I did the same thing from 5 to 9, that gave me another 4 hours. So every single day, because I did this, I had 10 hours devoted to building me and then building the business. 10 hours out of 24 every single day. So every single day, let's just take a 30-day calendar year. That gave me 300 hours. Now, I'll be honest with you. Saturdays and Sundays, it was more than 10 hours. Saturdays and Sundays, I didn't do vacations. I didn't do mental vacations. I did application and execution. And this is why we were able to do what we did in the short amount of time that we did it in. Guys, listen to this. If you're able to do the kind of work that you would love to do because you want the results for yourself, for your loved ones, for your legacy, for your future, for your family, for your generations, if you want the results, this is what you got to figure out. How to do 3 years of work in one. Because if you can do 3 years of work in one, then you can do 15 years of work in 5.
Man, I'm thinking about the 10,000 hour rule. And when I think about that, I think about the Marine Corps and my 12 years there. And this brings me back to process. And the process of becoming a Marine is not necessarily very long, but it's extremely difficult. So boot camp is only 12 weeks. That's it. 12 weeks.
But they
they have condensed
it. Yes.
So much. Like we sleep literally for about 6 hours a day. And excluding the crucible. When you're on the crucible, you don't sleep. Like you don't sleep. But when you're not on the crucible, you get 6 hours a day to sleep. The other 18 hours, no exaggeration, all 18 are accounted for. And during that process of just like crushing the body, crushing the mind, retraining the nervous system, like it's all kinds of stuff that goes into it. In 12 weeks, you come out a monster of a human being. But even as a monster of a human being, what you are is what we call in the Marine Corps a boot. Like if you're just out of the military training, you're a boot. We're like, man, you just a boot. Go get my boots.
You're at the bottom. You're at the bottom. You're starting at the bottom. You graduated to the bottom.
You graduated to the bottom. And that's what one thing I want everyone to kind of just think about a little bit as I walk you guys up through my 10,000 hours. Very briefly. So to correlate this, making that first sale makes you a salesperson, so to speak, but you're still at the bottom. Like you're still not necessarily where you want to be, but this isn't to take anything away from you. To make a sale in today's economy is an achievement. Everybody's marketing everything all the time. Somebody's on your ideal client's mind 24/7. So if you can be the first person to collect the entry point of the transaction, to collect the cash, like that's an achievement, and then serve them to the highest degree. Serve them to the highest degree. So that's boot camp. Once you get to boot camp, you are officially a boot. And what we do as boots is you go to MOS school. So when you go to MOS school, you're here for another 6 weeks. MOS school is where you learn competencies, everything you need to know about your job. So once you get to MOS school and you learn everything that you need to know about your job, the next place you go is SOI, or MCT is what we call it. It's military combat training. And when you get there, you pretty much are a Marine. You know what it means to be a Marine. 2, you've gone to your MOS school, if I remember my cycle right, it's been about 12 years, and then you go to MCT. And once you get to MCT, they put you in like fighting holes and they put you in all of these different combat situations and you're grinding. You're just killing yourself. So, but you're becoming what you need to be. And once you get to MCT, you finally get to go to what we call the fleet. So your first year in the military is nothing but gruesome, grueling training. And at each checkpoint, you feel like you made it, but you really ain't made it. You're just at the bottom of the next bottom of the next bottom of the next bottom. And I just want to give that piece, because when you do business right and you like have that mental shift and you put things in perspective, you know, one way that I like to think about things is get to the next bottom instead of trying to get to the top.
Let's go.
Like when you try to get to the top, sometimes you feel like you made it. You feel like you got somewhere. But from 10 years of brutal starting over at the bottom, thinking that I made it, I have learned that that's just going to upset me. It's just going to make me feel bad when I get to the next level and I think it's sweet. And it's really not. So what I've learned is that that's a powerful mindset. It's like, get to the next bottom. And if you can get to the next bottom, what you'll realize is that you're on top of, so to speak, all the other people that didn't get to the next bottom. So it's like you start feeling good about yourself. You're like, oh, snap, I made $5,000 of my own money this month, and it's coming next month. And you're looking at other people that are like on their job. And there's nothing wrong with their process, but it's like it does give you some self-respect to a degree, because as human beings, we compare. And I'm not saying that you should compare yourself to other people to find validation, but I am saying it is a confidence boost to a degree to say, you know what, I was there. And I got here, and I got here because I did the work. And that has nothing to do with them, nothing to do with where they are. It has everything to do with you knowing what it takes to get there, what it takes to get out, and to know you got out. And that's pretty important.
Very good. Very good. That's phenomenal. You know, that's an added zero mentality. That's literally added zero mentality, because the way I felt, right? And I've learned of this. This is not something that I came in the game with. I did not come in the game with at a zero. I did not come in the game with $1 million is not enough. I thought 6 figures was enough. I was sadly mistaken, but I truly did. Like, I really believed, like, as soon as I can make 6 figures, I'll be set. Like, I'll be set for life, man. That's all I need. Like, if I could go from 60 to 80 to 100K, like in a year, my. the twilights were in my eyes. I said, my. And then I had my first 10K month. And it was like, uh-oh. If I could stabilize this, then I've made it. I've arrived. All I need to do is stabilize this, guys. You think you're doing something great, and you are. However, to stabilize just means to build on top of. As soon as you stabilize it, you need to build on top of it, because whatever you don't grow dies. Whatever you don't grow dies. Whatever your top is literally someone else's bottom. And what I realized, Bobby, when I got there was, wow, we need more. Like, in order to serve more, I need more. Because 40% of that is gone before I even look at it. So $100,000, guys, is not $100,000. $100,000, based on your dependence and how you allocate your resources and taxes, $100,000 is actually 60. So I'm broke again. But watch this. In building the business, I incurred massive overhead. Now, it's grassroots overhead. I don't have a brick and mortar. I got a click and order, but I still got staff now. So I got people. And it's like 60K is not enough for one person's decent salary. So how do you feed 5 people on 60? The only way you do it is by multiplying that into 300. And then that's all salary. There's nothing left for the owner or the overhead. So it's like, okay, watch this. $1 million isn't enough. I don't need a 0. I need 2. I need 3. And it's, again, it's not so that you can hoard it or so you can have it, but it's so you can give it and dispense it and dispel of it as soon as it comes in. You want to become a conduit, guys. You don't want to become a storehouse. You don't want to become a hoarder, because if it stops with you, then listen, guys, if it stops with you, then it stops with you. How you do anything is how you do everything. If it stops with you, it literally stops with you. So you got to let it flow. You got to open the floodgates and let it flow. Money will stop coming to you if it stops going through you. So you got to learn how to become a conduit and let it flow through you to other people that it needs to go to, so that then you'll be used. You'll be of service when you give freely, and the powers that be know that you're a proper steward and it's going to flow through you. Then more can be given to you. To he who already has. What do they say about the guy with the talents? To him who has, let him have more. And take away that which the person who tried to hold on to what he had, take his talent away and give it to the person that it flows through. Because he's abundant. He's going to plant it. He's not going to hold it up on the wall and look at it. Guys, there's so much here. There's so much here that we're trying to give you over this small amount of time, that if you just take one principle, if you only was to take one principle and dissect it and deconstruct it and then incorporate it into your operating system, you would immediately become enriched, and you would understand the kind of value that we're trying to give you. And it would change your life forever, and not just yours, but everyone connected to you.
You know, this makes me think about wealth.
Good.
Like, those that know me know that that's my claim to fame. That's my vertical, the wealth vertical. And finance, wealth, and all that good stuff. Like, we're not going to get technical, but I just want to put some information out there, because I feel like a lot of us are confused, and I just want to make some things very, very clear. So the old definition of wealth is work 30 years and put your money into a 401k, money market, a CD, or some kind of insurance policy, right? IRAs, all those good things. That's what they tell us to do. They tell us to put our money into these things, and they say if you're a good steward, meaning you're putting at least 15-20% of your money in this, and you got a decent job that's matching you, in 30 years time, 40 years time, you'll be a millionaire. You'll have a cool $3 million, $5 million if the market does what it's supposed to do. If it doesn't, you tried. And what a lot of us have realized is that if I can't touch this money until I'm 67, like anybody that tries to get 401k money, IRA money, any of that money to live with and explore life with, you get penalized for it. So we subconsciously know that I'm putting money into a system that is going to penalize me if I try to take it out early to live off of it. And then by the time they're willing to give it to me to live off of, one, you still have to pay taxes on it. So a lot of people get confused about that. They think that this is tax-free money. It's tax-free growth, but it's not tax-free money. Tax-free growth means it's going to grow and it's not going to incur taxes as it's growing. But as soon as you take it out, they're still going to get their money. So what people realize is that at 67, they only have about 15 years to live in their minds. They're like, man, I got like 15. And then my body is already deteriorated. My kids are adults. My spouse and I mean, we know everything there is to know about each other, at least in this circle, like we didn't adventure. And that's the definition of wealth. It's the antiquated, makes no sense definition. So what is business really all about? Like, what's the goal of business is something that a lot of people don't understand. So they don't get the help that they need soon enough. And they get stuck in what we talked about yesterday, which is the revenue of entrapment trap, right? But what your business is supposed to do, and this is financial, technical, like what it's really supposed to do if your goal is to make wealth in business. So if you have a job, you are getting, say, $2,000 a month to invest into your future. Now that's what you're doing if you got a good job. So if you do that over 30 years, you may have $5 million. Now, here's what you do with a business. You have what's called revenue. Revenue has to become income. Income is revenue less expenses. So once you have revenue less expenses, whatever's left over, that's income. Once you have income, you can start to evaluate profitability. Very few people get to profitability. They don't even get to income. They just get to revenue. And revenue is not going to save you. So if you do this properly, once you have income, you need to evaluate profitability. Once you've evaluated profitability, you get into equity. Now, equity is the only thing that sets us free in business. Like if you're trying to do this the right way. So here is my methodology. You can do it different ways, but here's how I do it, or at least my methodology and my thought process behind it. So I look at it like this. I have 3 buckets that I use equity for. So once we have worked the whole year and we've got retained earnings, which is equity, I put a portion of that equity into expanding and scaling the business because the business has got to grow. Then I put a portion of that money to cash on hand simply because I want to be able to make investments on the dime. So I don't want to have no cash. And so I'll put a little bit of cash there, but it's not a lot. It's like just enough to make an investment if I need to. And then I take the rest of it out. And once I take the rest of it out, this is the piece that people just have no idea that they're supposed to do. But I'm not going to give you all of it. I'm just going to give you the piece to be thinking about. What you're supposed to do with the money that you take out is you're supposed to have a portfolio. A portfolio is where your investments sit. So once you take the money out of your business and you put them into interest-bearing assets, meaning you're purchasing assets that are creating passive income opportunities for you, that's like the goal. Like that's what all of this is about. But most people get stuck at revenue. They never get the brand help that they need. They don't get the marketing help. They don't get the speaking help. They don't get the course help. Like they don't get the competencies that they need in order to move money from revenue to profitability all the way down into equity so they can have conversations with people like me who manage portfolios and manage risk and manage the growth. Because at the end of the day, this is my last piece, your 401k, the 2 reasons why people get into business that are smart, like they're really trying to build wealth. Like the whole reason we do this is to shorten, if you're trying to build wealth, again, I want to be very specific. If your goal is to build wealth with your business, here's what you're doing. You're saying, I'm turning a 30-year process into a 10-year process. That's the first like bedrock decision that you're making. The way you make this possible is by quadrupling or even 10xing your income, which allows you to 10x the asset in which you can purchase. And once you 10x the asset that you can purchase, you maximize your opportunity for generating passive income. And once your passive income exceeds your earning capacity as a laborer, you have what we call financial freedom. So I'll give you guys that one definition one more time.
That's the exit.
That exit definition is that my assets accumulated, the interest from them, not the principal, but the interest from the assets accumulated are earning more than I can earn as a laborer. So if you, as skilled as you are, and you have to be strategic about this. So if you're a surgeon and you can make $300,000, you're not financially free until your investments are earning more than the $300,000. And most people that know anything about investing know that they need to have at least $600,000 because your investments can fluctuate and you don't want to have your quality of life impacted. So that's why we really do this, you know, like to get into business. And if you know that that's the real exit, you know why $1 million is not enough. You know why $1 million morning is necessary. And you can, I hope, appreciate more about what we actually are doing here every morning to help you get there.
Exactly. So again, guys, but you need a foundation to start with, right? And that now let me just show you what it looks like in action. So Bobby just gave you not just the theoretical, but the fundamental and foundational. That's accurate. It's evidence-based. The statements are true. Now look what it looks like when it's activated. When it's activated, Bobby was like, how do I turn this intellectual capital into financial capital? Because that's what he had. He had intellect and he had experience. So he had IP and AP, but he didn't have FP or FC. He had intellectual capital. He had educational and environmental and experiential capital, but he didn't have the financial capital to mirror it. It doesn't make sense. And this is where you're at a lot of times. You have the 3 E's, the education, the experience, and the expertise, but you don't have the 3 I's, which is the impact, the income, and the independence. And I said, okay, Bobby, I took an assessment of what he was saying, and I said, okay, phenomenal. What you're going to do is you're going to start at that link below. I said to Bobby, you're going to start at that link below. Now, we weren't on a call like this, so he didn't see the link below, but I said, you're going to start in Branded Like a Leader. And in Branded Like a Leader, you're going to learn the foundational fundamentals to building a real business and building yourself as a brand and doing it organically. So you don't need funnels and you don't need huge email lists and you don't need to understand algorithms and iOS and all this nonsense that's about to come out. You don't need to know none of that. But what you need to do is know 3 things primarily: branding, marketing, and closing. Branding and positioning are almost, they're so closely intertwined, but you're going to learn branding and positioning, you're going to learn marketing, and you're going to learn sales, which is closing, to bring you some more liquidity. So we can drive that revenue up to match and mirror where you're at now. And what that did was, by the end of the first year, it was 400%. So instead of 10x, it went 40. And then the next year, it did 40 again. And then the next year it did 40 again. So within 3 years, it's 120x or 1,200%. So he matched his equity level, his income level, and was able to make an exit out of the physical jobs. So he could concentrate more on the goose that's laying the golden eggs. And it all starts with your $1 million morning. We'll see you guys tomorrow. This is The Breakfast with the Brand. I am your host, Sean Rais. As always, accompanied by the phenomenal Bobby Jackson. And we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Let's grow.